Elvis was Elvis. He was a phenomenon. You know, he was like Michael Jackson. It was the right thing at the right time. He struck a nerve. And
what's up, y'all, man? It's Quizzy, man. I'm back today with another video. I got my dad in the mix.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Man, I got my son down here, and we just chilling today. And I know that y'all have been asking me to bring my dad back, so I thought that it would be a good thing to bring my dad back on Elvis, because I don't know very much about Elvis, and he's actually lived through this.
Yeah, I grew up watching Elvis. You know, had all the women, and he could sing and he could dance, he talk down in the throat like this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We're gonna watch Elvis in the Black Community Part 2, okay? Now, I've already seen Part 1, and if you guys want to check that out, then guess what? It will be a link down below. Or, you know, say if you want to, you can just search it in the search box, because it always makes me look good to YouTube if people are searching my name. We won't go all into that, but yeah, for everybody that's been commenting, I appreciate that. For right now, do me a favor, do my dad a favor, do my son a favor, hit like on the video right now, okay? And if you're new, man, don't feel too ashamed, all right? You can go ahead and subscribe.
I was in Las Vegas in the 70s. I was the conductor and music director for B.B. King, the blues act. We were opening in the Las Vegas Hilton's main room as the opening act for him. Well, we had no idea Elvis was there, nor did she, so we were watching her act from backstage, and in her act, she walked around the main room in the audience, and she always stopped at this certain table.
That morning when I walked into the dining room, I spoke. I said, "Good morning." He said, "Good morning." I said, "What are we going to have for breakfast this morning?" He said, "Fried peanut butter and banana sandwich." And I looked at him. I said, "What?" He said, "Fried peanut butter and banana sandwich."
Have you ever had that before?
No.
Is that like a southern thing or something?
It's a southern thing.
Fried peanut butter and banana sandwich.
Fried bananas. No, fried banana and then peanut.
What's some of the weirdest things that y'all ate?
I didn't eat anything weird. If I didn't like how it looked, I wasn't eating it. I don't eat beef. I didn't eat cauliflower because I didn't want to eat no purple stuff. I didn't eat cauliflower for a long time because, you know, cauliflower ears. And I'm not eating no ears, noses, eyes.
Not a nothing.
No.
What's tripe? Fish?
Tripe is cow intestines. And they're very tasty. Yes, I've had goat. I had dinner with some Africans, and I had goat and fufu.
What the hell is fufu?
Fufu is a yam. It looks like potatoes, but it's not.
I said, "I never heard of it."
Look, she made it.
The first time I went in, fixed the sandwich and put it on the tray and brought it back, that wasn't right. His father was sitting there, and he said, "Mary, I'm going with you and help you. And let's see, maybe both of us can get it right." I said, "Okay." And he said, "Let's toast the bread first." So we toast the bread and then spread the peanut butter on it and slice the bananas and put on it. And put them into the skillet and kept turning them with the spatula.
Oh, okay.
And turn them till they got heated all the way through. Then I take them and cut them, put them on the platter and take them back to me. And he said, "Now that's what I want, that's right."
Yeah, he wanted exactly what he wanted.
Live, but he'll always live because of the fact he was such a
Yeah, I know you know who that is.
Of course, that's the Godfather of soul.
beautiful man. I don't care what nobody say. I know Elvis. You know, there are a lot of rumors. Elvis and I sang spiritual together. And, he kept me from being number one. I was number one soul and he was number one world. And it took a long time, but it's almost like the two rental cars. It made me try harder. And I love Elvis for it. And we'll always pray for Elvis.
Do you remember that?
So what do you think about James Brown?
What do you mean?
What's your first thought? It don't gotta be long, but just what's your first thought?
He's the Godfather of soul. He's where a lot of the modern funk came out of James Brown. Parliament Funkadelics, Bootsy used to play for James Brown. How he constructs songs basically is set the standard. Dr. Dre and all them, they sample Parliament Funkadelics and they sample James Brown. James Brown is the man for soul. Him and Michael Jackson.
So do you feel like that Elvis did, and like, cause I don't know, so I'm asking, did Elvis rival James Brown for real? Do you feel like that?
Rival?
Yeah, like, cause you know, like you say, he the Godfather of soul, and you know, what did they say about Elvis? He was the king of rock and roll.
Yeah.
So did you feel like that he gave James Brown a run for his money? Stop.
No, they did two different things. It was just, you know, you had white music and you had black music. And a lot of the white musicians just basically copied. The whole British invasion was just a copy of, you know, the Beatles and all those groups. They were just a copy of what they had been hearing black people do in America. To me, it wasn't a competition. It was just, this was another white boy who was very talented.
You know, it's interesting, when I watched the first interview, he grew up in a black church, singing in a black church.
I can imagine he did.
Do you remember? It wasn't actually, you don't really meet Elvis, you actually just look at Elvis. Okay? My mother sang with Elvis for years. Yeah. She and her group, they were called the Sweet Inspirations. Yeah. They also sang for Aretha for many, many years. On most of the, in the 60s, they were on all of Aretha songs. Well, Elvis took a liking to them, and my mom sang with him for many years. And they were very close. Yeah. I just remember at one point being in a room, and we were all in this room, my mother and the singers, and we, you know, the usually backstage kind of thing. And he just walks in the room with his mink on, with his glasses on. Oh my God. And he just walks in, he says something, and everybody just, you don't say anything, you just look. It was just one of those moments I won't forget as a kid. It wasn't like, hi, Mr. Elvis, nice to meet you. You didn't do that. You just sat back and just looked at him. Amazing. Amazing to look at. Yeah. Just amazing. Wow. And just to be in his presence was awesome.
Tell me about that. Tell me, get Well, when they first called, the girl said, Elvis Presley, oh my God, what are we going to do? I said, hey, it's a gig and it's a good one. So we went, and when we got there, it was nothing like what we might have thought, you know, because it was just wonderful. It was really wonderful. He was into gospel. So every once in a while when we finished rehearsing with him, we just sing gospel, all of us, you know. And we just had a good time. Good money and good pay and good, it was nice atmosphere, you know, and we didn't go around with him as his friends. We worked for him. So we saw him at work or at rehearsals. So I don't know what he did in between, nor did I care. You know, I just doing what I was supposed to do, and we were.
Man, y'all had the nerve to comment about what we wear, and this is the stuff that y'all wore back in the day. Big collars, dress shirts that were kind of like dressy casual, and thick sideburns.
Well.
And they had the nerve to talk about our baggy shirt.
Oh well, what can I say?
And then y'all had like shoes with the little with the fish swimming around in it.
No, that only in the movies, but that was funny. I'm Gonna Get You Sucker was one hella funny movie. That was.
The Sweet Inspirations.
You love them some black woman though.
We've talked on television
Good, everybody.
and
Man.
had interview situations. I've never asked you about Elvis. What you want to know? When did that all start? When did the whole love for Elvis begin?
He teases me about Elvis all the time.
But never on the air. Never.
No, what he says, like, if Elvis was alive now, he said, man, you wouldn't even hang out with Elvis. I said, yes, I wish it, man. Elvis would be in the lobby of your house, like, so man, was it there? And I would be in the room. Hey, what's going on, man? He told me to come over. I know what's going on. All right. But when I was a kid, see, Elvis Presley to me, it's his presence, I think it is. I don't think anyone in this business has had as much presence as Elvis. I don't think anyone's had as strong a presence. I think there have been entertainers. I think Michael Jackson's the only entertainer who's ever been more famous than him. But I think Elvis has more press. Like when Elvis walked in the room, everybody just looked at Elvis. You know, when he's on the screen, you looked at Elvis.
That's the second time they said
this
that.
thing about it.
Hey,
And he was
Elvis
going through.
was a cool white boy. You know, he had that.
Yeah.
He dressed unique. You know, and he could sing and he could dance, and the white girls loved Elvis.
Really?
They love him still.
He had soul.
Yeah, well,
Elvis
yeah.
had soul.
Well, he grew up in rural South, hanging out with black people.
In the ghetto.
Yeah.
But on screen and on stage, he always looked like he was in control, you know, and that's amazing because there was this war going on inside this guy, and I'm just fascinated.
You know, because the black community obviously felt that we shouldn't be doing it. So Ebony Magazine, in fact, called us and wanted to know, we got a lot, why are you singing with Elvis Presley? You know,
Plays good.
and sometimes we get shot back with, well, you know what he said about black people. Yeah, I heard that story too. But I also heard the one he said about Mexican people. It's the same story. What he said about the story is, Elvis Presley said, all a black person, I'm using that, can do for me is shine my shoes. Mexicans have the story. All a Mexican can do for me is shine my shoes. That's also attributed to Elvis.
I don't really even believe that. I mean, I'm not going to say that he didn't say it because I wasn't there and I don't know, but I don't believe that with the fact of, you know, all the positive stories about how, you know, like I was watching one of the documentaries and it was a white man and he said, hey, there's a white only shop and Elvis can get his nigger loving ass out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
But then with Elvis, instead, he took these 3 black girls on tour and he didn't care what people said.
Yeah, well, now I wouldn't have gave it any thought. Now, if they had said that he said that the only thing that a black man can do for me is shine my shoes. Now, okay, but you know, obviously there was some things that black women could do for him. You know, like sing in his band and make his music sound good and help him learn from them how to be soulful.
Yeah, black women do got a lot of soul.
Yeah, you know, and there's some singing black women.
Hey,
it's some
stop.
singing. It's some singing people.
Right.
So, but whether he said it or not, I don't really care. Does that change how I feel about Elvis? No. You know, Elvis was Elvis. He was a phenomenon. You know, he was like Michael Jackson. It was the right thing at the right time. He struck a nerve, and you know, the world loves black culture. And he was a white boy who could sell it, so he was the one that made money. It's just like our Uncle Percy and their jazz group, Quartet Trebian, invented the style of taking old classics and doing jazz arrangements. They had 17 albums, but Dave Brubeck was the one that got the credit for it because he could sell that to the white community. You know, racism is something that's real, and in the past it was worse than it is now. And so
now I just feel like it's just more, it's frowned upon, but it's still going on. If not more, but it's frowned upon.
That want nostalgia. They want to go back to the 50s and the 60s, and you can't go back. You can't go back. You can't go back. You know? So because it's learned behavior.
Right.
You know, you're not born racist. You learn it from your environment. So some people grow up in those environments and they learn those traits and sadly pass them on.
Yeah, man. No, that's facts. AJ doesn't know racism. He'll play with any kid.
No, he doesn't. You didn't either.
That's a story, that's a rumor made up by some rock and roll singer who wanted to be where Elvis was, I suppose. Because as far as I'm concerned, Elvis treated us royally. And If he said it, I don't care, because there's the things that I've said. I don't want anybody to be.
I got the role and I got paid.
Right.
I ain't mad at nobody.
Obviously, you see the irony here. You've got a black man imitating a white man who sounded like a black man.
Johnny,
for what he did.
what's his name?
And he opened a lot of doors for
What's his
a
name from
lot
St.
of folks
Louis?
back there during the time when they wouldn't even
It'll
quote
come to
unquote
me.
play the music on radio. So this is a tribute to Elvis.
At first, yes.
Yeah, I mean, they said he's playing black music. He's a white guy.
Yeah, but see, at first he was playing more like rockabilly. He wasn't really getting into the things that he started to do later. But when he started to do that, then he started to turn heads, including mine.
Yeah, it did. So
Yes.
what did you see then?
I saw that he had everything. The looks, he had the talent.
He had the rhythm,
everything.
the rhythm,
He had
the soul.
He had everything. To me, he had everything. You know, you started looking at the guy, God almighty, he's handsome, he's tall, he looks good, he can sing, he can play.
Got
You
a
know,
lot of women.
Well, I didn't see, I didn't see women disliking him, but he was just, I didn't see him after them either. But I guess had I been handsome.
Once you get up to that status, you don't have to.
Nah, he ain't got to chase no women.
Something like that, I probably would.
Chuck Berry.
Chuck
Black
Berry.
cats, keep away from me. Take my advice, go shinny up a tree. I've got a hard luck, the hardest kind of luck you'll find. I ain't lying, I got the bluest kind of blues.
In the 60s and early 70s, when tensions between blacks and whites were at an all-time high, Elvis demonstrated his desire for racial reconciliation in the musicians that he chose and the treatment they received.
He believed that he had a certain connection with God, not so much more than anybody else did, but in his search, he was trying to get close to God. So he felt that by helping others, maybe that was his mission.
Different than all the kids I grew up with. I'd hang around parts of Tupelo my folks never even knew
Tupelo,
about.
Mississippi.
Is that Mississippi?
If Mama had known where I was half the time, I would have caught hell for it.
What is them
This
slave
friend of mine
houses?
used to take me across town to an area called Shake Rag. And that was when I first heard the blues.
This is the house that Elvis bought for me. He bought it in 1974.
How about that?
And he came and picked the house out for me. And I liked it, and he liked it. So he said, well, Mary, this is your house, if you like it. I told him I loved it. It was really nice.
There must be lights burning brighter somewhere. Got to be birds flying higher in a sky more blue. If I can dream of a better land where all my brothers walk hand in hand, tell me why.
So Sammy Davis Jr.
It was Jim Brown.
Overall thoughts, just to end it off for Elvis. Overall thoughts, what did you think about him after all of that?
Sure, he was a product of his generation. You know, he was somebody that found a niche, found a style, and worked it to the max. And I can't put Elvis down. I mean, I didn't buy any Elvis records, but you could not grow up in the 60s and not know some of Elvis music. From the old sugar and 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock rock. Yeah. And he made movies and, Beach Blanket Bingo, all that. Elvis was Elvis. You can't take nothing away from Elvis.
Right.
Elvis was like dominant in his generation, doing something that no other person could have done but Elvis. So you got to give Elvis. Elvis, you was a man. You did your thing. I ain't mad at you.
So Sleep.
Hey, well, you know, boy need a nap.
See, I gotta hold his head up.
Yeah, he couldn't. You know, crying didn't help. So whining didn't help. So I go on, take a nap.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video there so I can go lay him down, man.
Oh, and if you like good music, I've got a radio station. It's called RhythmFlightRadio.com. For all genres of music, from blues to jazz to R&B, hip hop. Give us a try. I think you'll like it. I'm Tony James, and this is my son Quentin, and his son AJ.
That should have been the intro.
Okay, bye.